Hello, this is Greg Berzinsky for Beardbrand. I'm here at the Men's Club Barbershop in Philadelphia with
Jake the Barber.
And today we are going to trim my 90-day beard.
Alright, so what are you looking to get done?
Well, as you know, it's been 90 days. Actually, we're at 99 days, and I have not trimmed or cut my beard at all. So I'm not looking to do something drastic, but you can see that I have significant amount of hairs up on my cheeks. I would like to sharp line this, and I'd like you to give me a chalk line. You can explain what that is when you do that. And then underneath here, I have a lot of hairs. If you think about your beard growing 1.5 inches up here, it also is growing 1.5 inches as your neck goes back. So all of that stuff needs, and I just want it evened up, and then special attention around my ears here. Nothing's been cut. Obviously on my hair and on my beard. I'm sure people are saying, what do you mean, you're not getting a haircut? I'm not getting a haircut. So, and then I want to cut the middle of my mustache, and I'm going to grow some handlebars. So they're just starting, so nothing off the side here. So just the middle, just trim it up a little bit.
Okay, no problem. So the first move that I'm going to make is I'm going to use this mustache wax. It's actually from Beardbrand. The Temple Smoke. I'm gonna lock down the curls that you're looking for, and that way when I'm doing the beard trim, I don't accidentally take these off. And then when I'm doing the mustache, I know exactly where I have to stop, what hair needs to be cut and what hair needs to stay. So I'm gonna go ahead and twist up the mustache real quick. This only takes a second. So for at-home use, you know, if you're trimming your beard and mustache at home, this is a good way to preserve your mustache. Because I'm sure there's a lot of accidents that happen at-home beard care. So I'm just gonna get a good amount. You don't need a ton for mustache. Just wanna make sure getting a good amount, twisting. You don't wanna go overboard with this. And now I know exactly what to stay away from. Now for this beard, it's not super long. It's only 99 days old. So I really don't need to blow dry it. I'm just gonna comb through it. For bigger beards, I might need to blow dry it, but a lot of the times, a nice comb through is fine. So I'm just gonna comb through it, see exactly what I'm working with. Come underneath this way and pull out to see exactly what's under here. A lot of times, you might just comb the top and the front and you miss the bottom. So you can see I'm just doing this, but if I go like this, see all this hair below that we would miss. All right, so what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna take this cordless detailer, and I really like the fact that it's cordless because I have a lot of free movement. And I'm just gonna start here, and we're gonna just kind of draw this in here, and we're gonna get rid of a lot of these strays. And everything I do with a beard is very cautious. So cut, comb, cut, comb. Because you can go over it one time and it might look really great, and you comb it out and there's a ton of hairs.
So I'm growing my hair out. How do you handle the sideburn, tapering that into hair that's growing out? What would be your advice?
So I really like to, if this is long enough to comb back around the ear, I really like to leave that to the haircut completely. So for this, I'm really just drawing it in. So where this sideburn meets the beard, I'll comb it back and just lightly tap it with the detailer. Since we're just doing a beard trim right now, all of this will be saved for the haircut. And I don't like to get into that just yet. So I'll just, like I said, comb it back, trim up the sideburn, and keep it moving. And that way, all this, you know, this is all material for the haircut. But if there's some strays, I can take them away, but I really like to just leave that. Now, Greg, you were telling me earlier that you don't like when barbers cut straight down on your beard. You care to inform?
Yeah, I talked before about hedge trimming a beard. I think if your beard is super curly or coarse or super dense, it's okay to do that. I think with a beard of my texture, which is more medium, I'm trying to have every hair possible stay in my beard. So every time you cut off strays or you hedge trim, you're actually thinning out the beard. And I think you'll see that in a lot of guys, that you'll see, especially on the sides, that their beards start to look thinner on the side, and it's because they're constantly hedge trimming the sides. It's just my preference. I don't think that's a bad thing. I would say, I think it's a bad thing when your beard is thinner or medium textured. Do it, hedge trim all you want on a thick, curly, dense beard.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. A lot of the times I get the question, or Justin gets the question that, how do I get a thicker beard? Justin is fortunate enough to have an extremely thick beard that he doesn't really need maintenance. He just will trim it when he wants to. But we get a lot of guys in here with beards, especially like thinner beards. It's uncommon to see a really thick beard. And they ask that question, and really it comes down to genetics. But now I can incorporate that into my arsenal, that you want to use a utility balm to use all those strays to work with you as opposed to against you. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to angle this bottom piece here. And we're going to start from where I stopped in the corner, and we got like a nice sharp line, not too sharp to where we're taking a lot of length out, but I like to start in this corner here and just come straight inward. And I go down, I work down. I always start really low because I can always take more hair off. I can't put it back on. So if I initially went in high, we might mess ourselves up later, and Greg might kill me. All right, so like I said, every time I trim, I comb, just because that looks clean, and then you comb it out and there's 20 missed hairs. A lot of times these electric detailers will push hair instead of cut, so you have to go over a few times. See, still a lot of hair here. And this is just like sketching. You just want to chip away. Really, really be careful. That's why I like using a detailer as opposed to a cordless clipper. Clipper is very unforgiving. This blade is much smaller, so I'm only taking little bits of hair off at a time. I'm very cautious with the length I take off. Do you want me to take more off?
No, I think it's what I was, most concerned about. Right now, I'm not looking for a drastic change in my beard. So, like, I wanted to maintain about a 3-month beard length.
Yeah.
I think that'll do that. I think when you hit the front, that'll do it.
Square look.
Yeah, definitely you can see all of this stuff, and that's what happens when you just let your hair go without getting a trim. Mm-hmm. The hairs on the slope of a neck will appear to be much longer, and so you got those off. Cool. So that's something I think, I talked about my last video. At about 8 weeks, I see the full potential of my beard, and at that point I could have probably started cutting. So I waited here for more dramatic effect, but this looks much better. It's clean.
Cool. All right, so same thing on this side. I'm just gonna comb all this hair out. All right, now we're just gonna have the head tilted back, and you can see what needs to be met in the middle here. So I'm just gonna come in and out. And comb. And now we're just cleaning it up. Getting every little area that we might have missed. Just checking our work here. Okay, so you can see even when you comb out, still laying nice. So after we do that final comb out, I'm just gonna come back around, do a nice once over. Before I get into the mustache, I just want to make sure the beard is done There's always little hairs that you're gonna miss. And that's the beauty of having a comb in your hand the whole time. You just comb it out and check. All right. Now that the beard's finished.
Crispy.
Crispy. He said it.
Yeah, my whole thing about beard length is when it starts to look like you're going terminal and it starts thinning out at the bottom, my thing is cut it there.
Exactly.
So respect your growth potential, your terminal length, and don't push it beyond what is really terminal. All right. Our own Mahesh on the channel, he had a beard that was getting thinner at the bottom, growing for length. He cut it off, night and day difference, looked really healthy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Look, it'll look healthier. Not only will it look better, it looks healthy.
Definitely. All right, so we're gonna give this mustache just one more little twist here before I get into cutting it, so I don't overcut. This is a common thing that barbers will do. They accidentally cut too much of the mustache. Now I'm gonna keep the same technique for the mustache. I'm just gonna sketch here. So I see what needs to be cut. So we're gonna go from nostril to lip, nostril to lip. And we're just getting it off the lip. So what I'm gonna do is use my middle finger as my guide in the chin. Start in the center, and I'm just gonna barely rock it over. And then I'll straight razor it. So it's actually dressing the skin. The hairspray acts as like a dry shave gel, so it's not bare skin. If you see me using a razor with no shave gel, it's actually treated already because the hairspray provides that layer between the razor and the skin. So Greg has a different method for his high cheek hairs. Why don't you explain what you do?
Yeah, so for high cheek line, it's hard to see because my hairs are light on my light skin, but I have these hairs that are now, 3/4 of an inch long at the top of my cheek. There's a random hair up here. Those are what I will pluck. He's gonna shave them off now, no big deal, but those single random hairs, those hairs here, and then I'll go back in later on today and I'm gonna pluck the hairs at the top of my nostril, so I don't have to shave this every other day. I'll take those out and then I will pluck these when those grow in a little bit. That way, it's good for 4 to 6 weeks. You don't have to think about it.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna come in and wash your eyes, Greg, because these hairs tend to fly. I'm just gonna very lightly get the hairs on the face with the detail. And that way I don't have to come all the way up the face with the razor. And if I do, it's a lot easier because it's just a few little hairs. So, without going into the beard, I stay far away from the beard line with this tool. Just very lightly get these cheek hairs. So what I'm going to do now is, and watch your eyes again, I'm just going to spritz this this beard line with a hairspray, and I'm going to, rather far away, but just dust it on.
You see this a lot on barbering websites on Instagram. The sharp line created. Is there another term you could use for it?
You could call it like a chalk line or a sharp line. It's like it's actually a layer of epidermis on the cheek.
So it's skin.
It is skin. Yeah, it's skin. But it's if you do it light enough, it really enhances the beard line right after a haircut. It's legend to be born in Philadelphia, but barbers around the U.S. and around the world, don't kill me, all right? That's just what I heard.
I'm going to give it to the Philly beard.
Yeah, I think
it actually makes a lot of sense. The sharp lines of even big bearded guys in Philly have, really extreme chalk lines or, sharp edging on their beards here.
Right, and when it washes away, Philly is notorious for really sharp haircuts. Like the hooks and the beard lines that are sharp. There's a lot of Philly barbers that would use enhancements like hair dye, semi-permanent hair dye, or fibers to fill out lines. And that's not just Philly, but it's really popular in Philly. But definitely like a chalk line. There's actually BARBERSHOP in Philly that I passed by. I think it's called chalk lines. So I'm gonna go with the Philly part of it.
And I'm not going to disagree.
Yeah. All right. So what we're gonna do now is I put a clean razor in my straight razor. And I'm just gonna hit this with like a very light cold shot from a distance. That way we don't disturb the beard. That's gonna help for the hair spray to dry. And now we're just gonna straight razor the cheek. I'm gonna start, and I always pull the skin up so I balance my hand on the forehead. I'll get my thumb and I'll tighten the skin up. So we're going to make sure we look at the other side before we get into the other side, just so we don't chop down into his cheek lower and then have to chase a line all the way down his face. So after I put that line in, I like to start at the bottom to meet, right? So I'm just going to take a nice look, and I know that this is where I have to start. So there's a few hairs that need to go. So I'll start right here. All right, and that'll do it for today's beard trim. So I'm just gonna finish off the beard with the Temple Smoke styling balm. I'm just gonna really distribute it on my hands and just get the outside to add some control to it. You don't need a whole lot since it was just trimmed, but I'm just gonna really lightly add to this. All right, and then I'll finish it up.
So that's my 99-day, or let's call it a 90-day beard trim. Pretty conservative in the length. Definitely feels better to have this sharpened. I think that's a good idea, and I think I learned many things here today about definitely pulling your beard out from underneath to make sure you're cutting those hairs. Don't be surprised though. I think not in this case, I don't think I'll see anything, but when you go to a barber, when you pull out later, you might find hairs that were missed. You have to constantly, especially on a curly beard, constantly be pulling those hairs out to trim. Tell me what you think of the chalk line. I don't know if our cameraman can zoom in here a little bit. It's like, yo, Philly.
So let me just touch on the chalk line. This line here will wash right off with water, okay? We usually leave these lines just for a nice photo. So if you ever see my page and there's like a white line above a dark beard, that's really from that technique I showed earlier. And it just enhances the line for the day or for the hour, whatever, until you wash it off with water. It comes right off with water. But it also shows exactly what I'm doing and if I missed anything. So that's a tool that I use and many barbers use. And it's also something that clients will like. It really depends on the client. I could dust that line off right now if I wanted to.
Right.
But like I said, Philly thing. You know,
Philly thing. It's also, I think it's kind of cool on my beard since my beard is pale, my skin is pale, especially I think it'd be less needed in the wintertime. I'm sorry, in the summertime when I have a tan. But it's something I've always wanted to try, and we'll see what people think.
Cool.
So thanks for watching, guys. And from Men's Club Barbershop, it's
Jake the Barber.
Greg Berzinsky for Beardbrand. Beard on.
for watching this video. Beardbrand has launched a private community called The Alliance. It's for men who are looking to invest in themselves and who are looking to keep on growing. Click the link over there and come join us, or stick around and watch some more awesome videos.